Hello, everyone. Welcome to the GLORIO Chat, the best anime podcast on the internet. You know, since the last time we recorded, the Crunchyroll Anime Awards happened. Did you guys enjoy the program? Crickets.
What's that?
No, totally. I was so happy when they rightfully recognized that. Oh my god, what anime even aired in 2024?
Okay, spoilers. Solo Leveling won everything. Every single category.
That thing's more
No,
popular.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Right,
Surely it was Pluto, right? Pluto must have won.
Was Pluto last year?
Yes.
Fuck.
Pluto was nominated. It was not last year, but it was nominated because
Yeah.
the nominations are very weird.
Yeah, so first of all, they keep pushing this thing later and later. How the hell do you have a 2024 Anime Awards show at the end of May in 2025?
You can't have an awards show in May. That's insane.
We're like almost halfway through 2025, and you expect us to remember or care what happened in 2024? I don't know, man.
Prelude to the summer of gaming, the spring of anime.
Yep.
Also, I didn't watch the program either. Obviously, I was being sarcastic, but
No, they didn't even have Megan Thee Stallion this year.
yeah, I did look, and it was very
I
weird
used
because
to know a guy who was inordinately obsessed with Megan Thee Stallion's anime thoughts. And like
Joe?
anytime
Joe?
I tried to talk about like anime, he was like, I don't give it. You shouldn't give a shit unless Megan Thee Stallion is into
All right,
it.
I'm
That's a
glad
very
you
weird-
elaborated on that.
That's a
because
very
the
weird
first half-
take.
The first half of that statement is, I know a guy who's obsessed with Megan Thee Stallion. I was like, okay, yeah, that's not like that strange.
Right,
And then
he was
the
like,
most-
he was like,
I
Jujutsu
care
Kaisen
about
and
her
My Hero
anime
Academia are fine. Are you telling me if Megan Thee Stallion was talking to you about Jujutsu Kaisen and My Hero Academia,
man.
you wouldn't be so excited? And I was just like, what
Hell
the
yeah.
fuck is wrong with
I
you?
would grab a
Yeah,
bucket and a
man.
mob.
Look,
And,
I have been on record saying that. Look, I love him. He was great in Sinners. Michael B. Jordan has astoundingly basic taste in anime.
Yeah, you know,
But-
in my like 5 minutes of researching this for the bit, because I could care less otherwise. It was very weird that, and nobody knows why, they only posted the award show on the Sony official YouTube channel and not on Crunchyroll.
I mean, parent
And
company, I guess. But
Even
had-
Crunchyroll is embarrassed.
Yeah, and they had like a bunch of, I was skimming through it, and like they had a bunch of like Japanese presenters and stuff and everything, and they didn't bother like translating anything.
oh my god.
Wait, what?
So it was like, this is such an afterthought at this point.
Oh man.
I'm surprised they
What are
still
you
actually...
talking about? A-list celebrities attended the Anime Awards. They had Finn Wolfhard from
Who?
Netflix's Stranger Things season 5, soon coming to Netflix in 3 parts.
Yeah. Anyway, that, and the other thing is, Solo Leveling won literally everything. To the
It's
point
oddly
where even,
there's one award that did not win. It did not win for some insane reason. It did not win Best Isekai.
It is,
Because
we
guess
cannot get
Solo
into
Leveling
this. We
does
cannot
not
get into
technically-
this. Yeah.
That's
Give
not
me
te-
this. Grant me
Is it-
this. You have me
Okay.
on for a reason. And the
does
reason
not
is to
technically-
get depressed about the state of anime. God.
yeah. Well, anyway, for people who watch real anime like us,
Whoa.
it's
They're
actually
the only ones with clarity of purpose.
there's actually been quite a few good things to watch this season. So, yay. Anyway, let's introduce everybody and talk about this season's anime in 2025. And hey, you know what? You know who does deliver their best anime of 2024 on time every year on January 1st when it's still relevant? Us. So go back and look at our
True.
top 10 post for the real top 10 anime. of
I don't
2024.
even remember what our top 10 for 2024 looked like.
I don't
can
either,
guarantee you it looks
because
better than the Anime Awards.
I don't either, but we handled our business when it was appropriate to handle our business. So anyway, let's introduce everybody. I'm Jel. I'm joined by Iro.
I'm still here. I'm not dead yet.
Iro's still with us. Thank you for taking a break from playing every Shin Megami Tensei game and joining us.
Yep.
Go check out Iro's website ongoing reviews of every.
I've been through many worlds now. It's the cycle continues forever.
How many Jack Frosts have you crafted?
Plenty.
Yeah, but
He-ho.
yeah. I haven't played any of the SMT adjacent games in so long. I miss it a little bit, but
yeah.
He hosts in this house.
Yep.
There be he hosts in this house.
We're also joined by G.
Frankly, I'm actually kind of maybe more offended. Like, it's not a worse show than Solo Leveling, but I think I may actually be more offended by Ninja Kamui winning Best Original Anime, if we're being honest.
Oh, wow.
Like, that might actually be
That's
more
so funny.
offensive to me. Like,
yeah. At least Solo Leveling it's a popularity contest. All right, fine, right? But
yeah,
in what world would you deem Ninja Kamui the best original anime?
The one where it was all Adult Swim, like.
Yes, but just in the year when Girls Band Cry came out, I cannot believe the anime viewing audience would do this to me.
I mean, this is the freaking best animated picture Oscar thing, right? Like, oh, I only saw the Pixar thing, so I'll vote for that. Like, I only saw the thing that was on Adult Swim, not the thing that was not subbed until it ended and then got put on, like, random ass streaming services no one has.
To counter your point, Aqua, like, look, nobody likes the Oscars. Let's be clear. Ain't nobody is going to cap for the Oscars. But, like, at least they have a panel. At least they select their nominees, right?
Yeah.
Like, if the Oscars were a popularity contest, like, Endgame would have won an Oscar or something, something truly catastrophic.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. Scarlett Johansson said that it is in unbelievable that Avengers Endgame didn't win any Oscars. After all, it was the greatest cinema event of all time.
They do have a panel select the nominees, so somebody did pick Solo Leveling for all of those, but it is ultimately a popularity contest, right? But anyway, I'm looking forward to next year in July 2026 when they declare the best original anime of 2025 was Lazarus. So,
oh god, don't even. I'm not.
let's lock in for that one.
I can't wait to revisit this conversation in about 13 months when you're like
14 months,
maybe probably like not even that far off the mark.
Look, I am joking, but there's still like it's a non-zero chance that happens, right? Like just because of the visibility, right? So anyway,
do you know another anime this year that has an official rating on Metacritic? I don't think so.
So we're also joined by Aqua.
Hello. I am here to for my scathing indictments against the anime fandom rewarding mediocre slop. Anyways, Netflix's Bet. It sucks, but I liked watching it.
Oh yeah, so Aqua, you have noted. I've heard you've made a dive into the world of Kakegurui in one of the less conventional means. Although I think the live action show was actually pretty popular. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. The live action show got like 2 seasons and a movie, I think.
Yeah.
So yes, that's not what I'm talking about. I am talking about Bet, the Western, I want to say American, but it's actually like a Canadian production. The Canadian Kakegurui adaptation that airs on Netflix.
And it's called Bet.
Oh
god. I'm afraid to ask.
So
how was it? Because I'm both afraid and fascinated and need to know. So
it's Netflix slop. Like what do you want? Like, I knew going in that it was going to be like mediocre teen drama, melodrama, and that is what it is. Except they sprinkled a little bit of Kakegurui sauce over it, and it's like the first 3 episodes are like, yeah, sure, this is Kakegurui in a like low budget Hollywood kind of way. So, it's set in America instead of Japan, but of course our main character is still Japanese, but everyone else is like people of all kinds of various ethnicities, and the characters vaguely look like their anime counterparts, but only on the most superficial level. So you have your student council president who still wears the blue lipstick,
Oh yeah,
and there's that girl who wears an animal hoodie, who still wears an animal hoodie, and there's the freak girl with the eye patch who still has an eye patch.
Oh, they got into season 2 stuff then. Okay, all right. Well,
No, the eye patch girl was in season 1. She's
no,
like
I mean
one of
the hoodie girl.
Oh,
Isn't she
yeah, sure.
More season
I mean,
2,
she's
yeah.
always part of the core student council in the show.
True. I guess she doesn't actually do anything until season 2.
Well, she doesn't do anything in this either.
Got it.
So the first 3 episodes are, relatively standard. You have Yumeko, who comes in and she beats Mary, who's still called Mary, in order to get
Mary.
dude. Mary.
That's a joke no one's gonna understand.
Yes.
Did they ever fix that?
Yeah, I think they did.
Oh, okay, fine.
For anyone who didn't know, they messed up the subtitles in the beginning, and her name was Mary. But go on, Aqua.
Yes. And, she's going up against the student council, trying to dethrone them, and she's a gambling pervert who really loves gambling.
Yes.
And it's all very a milder, shittier student theater version of Kakegurui. But then, of course, they have to Netflix it, Netflixify it, I guess that's the term. So it basically becomes Riverdale. And if you don't know Riverdale and its reputation, think like teen drama, but with completely unchained, completely over the top. Imagine a soap opera, but everything is just insane. All the characters try to murder each other.
I mean, that does fit the tone of Kakegurui,
right? But they add an entire subplot of Yumeko trying to avenge her parents who have been murdered by someone she believes to be the father of one of the student council members. So she's at the school to try and find out who it is and take down all of their children as well, who are all in on the conspiracy. And by episode 4, we're already at Yumeko tries to blow up a dude's seat with a pipe bomb while he watches his daughter at a what is it? Clarinet recital playing the final countdown.
So they try to give Yumeko some sense of purpose other than she just is a gambling pervert. That is definitely the wrong direction to go with Kakegurui.
Yes, exactly.
That girl does not have a clear thought in her head.
Yes, so it becomes, drama slop. There is lots of murder attempts. There are a lot of murder fake outs. There's
well, that's normal.
They try to make the characters more quote unquote nuanced and quote unquote realistic by, for example, the eye patch girl no longer bet her eye away in a bed. It's now oh, my abusive parents made me wear an eye patch in order to train my vision. So blah blah blah, and
like a fucking pirate.
yeah, and she falls in love with one of the original main characters, who's a cool bad boy hacker who teams up with Yumeko, and it's just a bunch of stupid, predictable shit that has very little to do with Kakegurui. Whenever they play games, it's the most boring gambling games you can possibly imagine. But for some reason, I found it surprisingly watchable.
I mean, that's what Netflix stuff is supposed to be.
Exactly.
Okay, Aqua, though.
The thing is, this avoids many of the pitfalls that Netflix usually falls into, as in, it's a mostly episodic show where, every week, every episode, there's something dumb they're doing, which is resolved by the end of the episode. And also, there is just so much, weird water dispenser talk stuff in this, as in, there's a bunch of stuff in this show where you could go to your friends and be guess what they did in the Netflix Kakegurui?
Yeah.
The hoodie girl has an enforcer who beats people up when they don't pay back their loans they got from her, who is a man in a beaver costume, and he shows up in every episode, and then at the end it is revealed that it's Seth Rollins from the WWE. Just
that is pretty good, actually. I'll
Yeah.
give it that.
I was about to say, I'm so glad the beaver from Hundreds of Beavers
I was gonna say
yes.
a gig after that movie, you know.
That
you
is
know,
pretty
But
good.
here's the
I'll
thing,
give
though.
him
Like,
that
it
one.
is, because it's Netflix, it is the binge format, right? Like, it's all out there, or did
Mhm,
they, like...
mhm.
So
No,
then
it's all
not-
out there.
So then it's not even capable of water cooler talk, because, like, Aqua, you're going to talk about this show, this podcast, and then we're basically
And then-
never going to mention
yeah.
it ever again.
Yeah.
Like,
It's almost like Netflix are shooting themselves in the foot. Like,
yeah, weird.
crazy. Yeah.
like they made the girl who pulls out the fingernails. You know, one of the like
Yeah.
early game bosses in that show is like an obnoxious influencer in this, and they defeat him because they changed the character into a man. They defeat him by like canceling and exposing him that before he was like a gossipy, effeminate TikToker who was all like for vegan rights and queer emancipation. That he was like an alpha male hunter influencer.
Oh God.
Because
And then
yes,
he gets-
historically, canceling
Yes.
works. Yeah.
Yes.
That is not even, like-
because it doesn't work.
Ah.
It doesn't work at the show because like, a couple
Oh,
episodes later he
okay.
just shows up again and was like, "Yeah, you know, I was just being pressured by my redneck parents into being an alpha male. This is the real me," and everyone just accepts him again.
All right.
It's-
Well,
This show is insane, and I just kind of wish they were allowed to just do completely ridiculous stuff every time. But then I guess you would just get Kakegurui.
I mean, there's already a live action adaptation that
Yeah.
exists, as we
Yeah.
mentioned, which I didn't watch
And-
all of it,
and
but I watched some of it.
That has Michi from Kamen Rider Gaim in it.
And
Yeah,
that
it
was
does.
that was obviously a lot more faithful to the source material, but it was
Yes.
pretty entertaining. I thought I didn't
Yeah.
end up watching all of it, but
I will say though, they got pitch perfect casting for Yumiko in this show. The girl who plays her, Miku
It does-
Martino, is her name. She looks exactly
look
like the
like her.
character,
yes,
and she acts exactly like the character. You know, she's like 90%. She's like walking around like this. I'm a dangerous, seductive, compulsive gambler. And then when she's gambling, she just turns into a squeaky teenage girl.
I don't know if that quite fits, but yes,
It's the
I would
vibe.
see-
it has the
I
same
would see,
vibe.
I would
going
see
on.
Yumiko as more of a airhead most of the time, but anyway, it sounds like a terrible idea.
Yes, I guess they
But-
just switch it around in this, in that she is like dangerous and sultry when she's not gambling, and an airhead when she is. Whereas in the
Yeah.
anime, it's the other way around.
Right? Yeah,
Kinda.
that's yeah.
Dumb show. I had a great time.
maybe my memory of Yumiko as being tainted by watching Rock as a Lady's Modesty, and the drummer is basically her as well. But,
Yes, all the Saori Hayami coded characters.
yeah. Anyway, that sounds like a train wreck.
Oh yes.
All right. Well, let's.
Speaking of train wrecks, I don't know what's the next. Oh no, that's not a train wreck.
It was actually the possibly the least train wrecky show. It kicks this off, but yeah, let's talk about our currently airing anime, and we'll start with our good old faithful Apothecary Diaries.
I mean, speaking of maybe some soap opera-esque
Yeah.
twists and turns here, right?
Yep.
I mean, before we head into it, I have one major complaint to make against this show.
Mm-hmm.
My Mau Mau would never be disgusted by eating bugs. My Mau Mau would gobble these bugs up. I get the frog. There are personal reasons why she would not eat a frog, but she would devour those grasshoppers.
I guess maybe it's like, is this what they call, I don't know, Gat Moe? I mean, like, she's like a sicko for so many, like she's a sicko for poisons and all these other things, but she's like, but I draw the line at bugs.
Bugs.
Yeah.
Look,
I'm not gonna put that in inside of me. Who knows what will
Yes.
happen?
Look, Shisui needs a gimmick, right? So they had to,
The bug girl. Yeah.
yes, or is she? Do we still call her Shisui at this point? Because
I mean,
some big reveals these last couple of episodes.
everything is connected. Even shit from
Hooray.
season 1.
Yes.
Get your friggin' Charlie Day pinboards out of here.
Yes.
Because
So,
holy crap, for a show this like sort of relaxing and I'll just check out what Mao Mao's up to this week. They expect you to have been paying attention, man.
Well, I mean,
this
I think
will
that's
be
why-
on the test. This is a frigging exam of a resolution.
Yes, and what I was going to say is, I mean that's probably why the latest episode has the as you know sequence. Right? Like there's a sequence in the second of these two episodes that feels like a very intentional. Look, we know season 1 aired a while ago. You may not remember everything, so here's like a quick rundown. But yeah, just to quickly summarize the events here, right? Mao Mao is still in captivity in the north, it seems, and. Long story short, she discovers the conspiracy. She finds out that the guns are being manufactured here. That the sort of queen regent of this area,
The lady, I'm assuming, the
Yes.
Baroness,
Shen Mei is potentially not potentially. She's staging a coup, right? She's preparing for a coup. That all these events leading up till now, the various conspiracies with the Suirei, the attempts on Jinxi's life, all these things, right? It is all sort of the culmination of the conspiracies of the North to stage a coup on the Emperor, right? And
those Northerners, you can never trust them.
I mean, I don't know, like I don't know if you know your history, Aqua, but that is like you could say that is the summary of 5,000 years of Chinese history.
I don't know what you're talking about. The show is not set in China.
Those Northerners,
China.
we can't trust them.
And
it really just depends on which Chinese person you're talking to for what constitutes North. North could be Mongolia. North could be Korea. North could be if you're Southern Chinese like me. North could be north of the Yangtze. That's already too far north. Those guys are up to no good.
China's a very big place. Yes.
Yeah,
The Northern Song, they're basically not. They're basically Mongolians, Anyways, I digress. So Mao Mao is imprisoned, gets caught. Right, is imprisoned in the fortress, and. Yeah, and we kind of get the big revelation here that the concubine Lolan is Shisui, right? That we have been that
is this a thing that you cottoned on to or not? I guess is my question.
No, not really. Actually, like Lolan has so little screen time, probably intentionally so. Like, I don't remember she ever actually had a speak. Like, I think that's a thing. Like, we will talk about this with a certain other show this season that has a character who is maybe going incognito, but is instantly identifiable because they speak. But,
right.
But I think it. But because I don't think Lolan ever has a speaking role, like for. Like, does she? Like, I'm really scratching my brain.
I'm not sure, but presumably at least one. But also, who knows? I couldn't tell you.
I think, and I think that is intentional, right?
Yeah.
Because like this is like the thing about anime, right? Where it's like I'm sure it's like in hindsight, it's like it was really obvious that was Shisui the whole time. But I think anime characters, the way anime designs are, right?
Yeah.
It's like characters might just look related because I don't know they both have the same shade of dark purple for hair, like I don't know, like is that one purple haired consort with the big boobs, is she secretly Jinxi's sister? They both have purple hair, like so I think maybe in my brain, like once it was revealed, I was like, oh duh, yes, of course, right, it all kind of clicks together, right? But yes,
I mean, those are the best kinds of twists, right?
Yeah,
Where
yeah,
it
and
feels like you should have known all along.
Exactly, right. And it's in hindsight, it makes a lot of behavior of both those characters, who we now know are one character, make a lot of sense in hindsight, right? Like Lolan's like relative lack of screen time compared to the other concubines. Shisui's like the hints of a more noble upbringing that are hinted at, right? And Yeah, it's certainly an interesting reveal. I think maybe where I'm left at with Apothecary Diaries here is like, look, man, Apothecary Diaries, you ain't no like you ain't no Legend of the Galactic Heroes here. Like, I'm not like particularly like invested in the political drama here. Like, there's a lot of like, you know, they're days away from staging their coup with their new advanced guns that is hinted they got from the Russians. Like, we have to move now, not only to save Mao Mao, but to save the Middle Kingdom itself.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, okay. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, it would
You
help
know-
if their actual motives for the coup were a little bit clearer, right? Because those
Right.
have not
Well,
yet been revealed.
Right. They feel like they have
They've hinted
the
at
true
it.
claim to the throne, right?
Right.
Because
Right,
of the,
because
that's
that
because
guy
of
is
the
implied,
color
yeah.
blindness gene.
yes, yes, you know,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's like, I don't know, man. It's like there's also like, again, this is why at the beginning of every episode they're always like, this is a work of fiction, blah blah blah, no resemblances, because I go, y'all know how China has traditionally treated failed coups? It's not pretty.
Mhm.
You know, we're not, you know, what did Yang Wenli say? Generally, it is morally inadvisable to kill like children. Like,
yeah, both
You know?
both morally and politically.
yes, both morally and politically inadvisable to murder children. China is like, bet. We ain't just killing the kids. We're
Bet
killing
from
the
Co-
kids.
from Netflix.
Hey, that's the name of the show.
Yes, yeah. See, we're tying it all together. We're killing the kids' cousins. We're killing their parents, their grandparents. We're killing their neighbors. We're killing their dogs. You
I
know,
mean,
what
you're
is
not
it?
the
It's
only
like-
one pointing this out, because Zig, whenever we watch the Apothecary Diaries together, will almost in every episode like point out that someone has just gotten away with something that would have gotten them killed in actual ancient China.
Yes, I mean, not just
Usually,
them, but like
you
their
know, talking
entire
to-
like
yeah.
lineage, snipped right there. And so there's a little bit of that thing of like, that's not Apothecary Diaries. Like, this season is not going to end with Shisui committing like ritual suicide to avoid a fate worse than death, because in historical China she probably would have been flayed alive as punishment for her crimes. Apothecary Diaries is not going to do that, and so
I mean,
it's
it's also
okay. What are the actual stakes here then?
Like, to what extent is historical accuracy desirable if it is a detriment to the story, right? This show wouldn't be able to exist if Mao Mao got like gained to death the first time she says anything rude to Jinxi. Like,
And to be clear, I'm not demanding historical accuracy.
Right,
It is more
right.
about that because this show is set in an analog for medieval China, and and I think when it was just Mao Mao solves weird mysteries in the court, I think it's like, yeah, fine, it's whatever, right? This is like some like YA novel tier like drama, like, she's just so smart and so cool, even
Right.
the emperor respects her. But I think when you start trying to like, even if poorly, gesture at political drama and intrigue, you have kind of upped the ante in a way, and that does kind of raise the bar for how you resolve all this, I think.
I mean, because the show has never really been about politics, right? The Emperor is just like an unimportant guy, but they never really talk about political themes. It's all court intrigue
It is-
and chivalry and
It's not the emperor's.
mastering.
It is not the emperor's policies and whatnot. It's what the emperor is doing in the palace.
Yeah. It's just like, who is the most important guy and how I can become more
Right.
important. Like,
And so that's all to say. It's like, again, I don't think it's like I guess the point I'm making is like, I don't think it will be an unforgivable sin or anything if this all wraps up very neatly. I think it's
Right.
more just, this is for this kind of show, for the kind of show that this has been up till now, this is a curious direction to take, and I guess I am curious to see how it wraps up, right? I suspect that there will be changes to the status quo after this arc, just kind of inevitably, right? So,
I mean, it is also just like, I think the reason why this works is because it is a great extension of scope of the show, but it is not out of left field. There have been
Right, that's the thing. It has been
implications from the very start that Mao Mao's presence at the rear palace is something that will have a big impact as we learn
Right.
about, who her father is, why her adoptive father adopted her, and what role he played in the rear palace. And they've been weaving all of that into sort of a very organic sort of evolution from this, I ended up in the rear palace, and now everyone thinks I'm cool? ? Setting to like, oh, this is I'm an actual linchpin in a political conflict, and this is something that you actually see in a lot of YA literature. Like, to take the most common example, take the Hunger Games, for example. The first book or first movie is, I'm an entrepreneuring young woman who ends up in a crazy situation and I have to find my way out of it.
I became important and I didn't mean to.
Yeah, and by the end, it's always like, oh, I've become a figurehead for a political movement and I didn't mean to, and how do I deal with this, And that is a theme that comes back a lot in these kinds of like YA novels. So I wonder if the author for the Apothecary Diaries was actually inspired by that.
I don't know.
Well,
there's so many fucking web novels out there.
Yeah,
But I mean,
there's a lot of...
Of course, but we've always been saying that the show has a lot of like Western YA vibes, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Just in the kind of show that it is, in its characterization of its main character, and now in this as well. I do wonder if there's a bit more of that in the inspirations.
Some of those, the like Hunger Games and stuff, that's very popular. So it's not impossible for sure, but
things do not, ideas do not spring forth in a vacuum, I guess.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, sounds like stuff's happening at least, right?
Yeah.
There is maybe they're ramping up for some kind of
a season finale, perhaps.
Season finale.
Yes.
Before we inevitably get another 48 episodes or whatever, right? But I guess we'll see.
Yes, look forward to our continued Apothecary Diaries coverage well into 2029.
Yes. I will note that the anime has pretty much caught up with the manga at this point. Of course, the manga, not the original, it was a web novel, but
yes.
So the manga which set the visual aesthetic for the series.
But the manga is very popular, right?
Yes.
I mean, I know that
right.
I think the manga kind of establishes a lot of what is now accepted visual identity for Apothecary Diaries,
yes.
right?
As manga often does.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
speaking of eventful episodes,
and talk about Mobile Suit
Gundam.
Gundam GQuuuuuX.
Lock in, folks.
I'm willing to recant earlier statements. Kazuya Tsurumaki and Yoji Inokito, they are cowards. They are using subtext.
Let me I actually don't have a lot to say about these episodes. So if I can just share my opinions as the outsider here in Aqua. Are you still watching Gundam?
Oh yeah, I am. But I think I'm sort of in your corner. Or
you may join me in my
what to say because I don't know what's happening.
Yeah. So, and I don't want to rehash everything for the sake of time that we talked about last episode. You can go listen to that again if anybody missed that. But broadly speaking, we talked about last time how the show was shifting kind of further away from something that anybody could just watch to something that you probably should have watched previous Gundam for frame of reference for what's going on. And these two episodes only kind of doubled and tripled down on that feeling to me. It's like I broadly knew what was going on. They're trying to kill some important lady, but do I know who she is or care? No. And the whole time I'm watching, and it doesn't help that at the beginning of episode 8, they also finished the rest of the Char flashback, right? But the whole thing, the whole time I'm watching, I just have this sinking feeling of like, I feel like I should know who whatever person that on screen is, or like I'm missing something, or there's pieces missing here, and I was really not enjoying it at all beyond the sort of the surface level. There were some cool robot fights. The original part of the story with our trio of kids is not really that important. Like the developments with Nyan are, I which I kind of hate what they did with her, and we'll get into details, but broadly speaking, I was just really getting checked out in these next 2 episodes. I could see how if you do know what's going on, it would be pretty cool, but without any additional frame of reference.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, and then Aqua. I mean, you I don't know if you agree with all that, maybe or you have any other angle to put on it, but
yeah, maybe if I can get my 2 cents in before we go into the deeper stuff with G and Iroh, I guess it's just I think I mostly agree. I think the Nyan Machu Shuji plotline to me has been very fun. Like I like watching that. I'm interested in seeing where these characters go. I think what they did in the previous 2 episodes, what was discussed in the last podcast, was very interesting, and these episodes did seem to confirm that in a certain way, like contrasting Machu's sort of middle class naivety of like, yeah, we're just gonna escape to Earth like cool rebels, and we're gonna say screw the man, versus Nyan's more pragmatic like attitude coming from her background as a refugee, as someone of a lower class. I think that stuff is still done very well. I think the directing in general is not to blame for any of the problems, because even if they do the stuff that is a bit more hostile to new viewers, like in the most recent episode, they do try to frame it in very interesting ways. What I do find interesting or noticeable is that this show has so far, or at least the Machu Nyan stuff, has been trademarked by a very economical storytelling, by very sparse, lots of implications, lots of things that are assumed to be known that you can infer from the time passing in between the moments of the lives in these characters that we get to see. They do not do that for any of the Zeon flashback stuff. That is the most like granular, self-indulgent,
and like
detail-obsessed stuff.
And they have what they've noted that the scripts for the flashback were auto.
I mean, it's so funny. I feel like the Kara Twitter account at this point just exists every week to say either Ano did this or Ano did not do this. Because, like, I mean, I could get, whatever. I could get to that later, but yes, it's
But that is noticeable. It is contrasting. It is jarring. It is unnecessary, because I think, do we actually learn stuff from the flashback that is necessary? We know that Char went missing. We know that he is still acting against the zombies the way he was in the original show.
Mm-hmm.
So did we really have to spend this much time on it? I mean, I'm just going to reiterate what I said last time was on, and it's that Ano is a liability.
Mm-hmm.
He is... They should not have gotten him involved in this. Or they should have done 2 things. They should have done GQuuuuuX and Shin Gundam, but not both at the same time.
Yeah. So,
like, I mean, the thing is, like, if this is Shin Gundam, that's fine by me, but at least market it as Shin Gundam. Say, this was for the fans, for the sickos. Don't, have key art with only Machu and Nyan and Shuji in it, and don't reveal that it's actually an alternate universe until people have had their butts in seats and the projector has started going on those cinematic screenings. That just seems weird to me. I don't know. But
go ahead, G. Yeah.
I think it's interesting to hear your guys' responses to this, because I am curious, right? Because obviously, I think Zig, I, and Eero sort of run the spectrum of how, like, a true diehard Gundam fan might react to this. But I have been curious about, like, do these things hit for somebody not familiar with this world? Like, is it economic enough to, like, can you pick up on what is being implied even if you don't know the details? And so hearing from the both of you that, like, this show maybe, like, struggles to find a foothold if you don't have that pre-existing knowledge is interesting. I've seen various takes online, right? I've seen some people say, no, I've never watched a Gundam and I still like GQuuuuuX. I've seen people closer to your guys' end of this is incomprehensible to me. So
like I can tell what is going on if there is someone there to connect the dots. You know? If someone is there to tell me, oh, in the original show, Char was not a loyal subordinate of the Zabis. He was actually going against them because he is a descendant of the original claimant to the Xeon throne. And then when someone says that, I'm like, okay, now I get why he's acting like that.
Yes.
Right.
Like,
yeah, like I get, like I said, I get the surface level, like what's going on plot wise, but like, why do they want to kill, what's her name and all
Kycilia?
Kycilia and all that. Like, I don't know, I guess.
And I think that's,
but like,
I think that's where it gets tough, right? Because like, why would they want to kill Kycilia, right? And if you don't have any knowledge outside the show, she's just a vaguely somewhat menacing female politician, and you don't really get that like she was Zeon's Himmler.
Right.
Like she was responsible for like orchestrating nearly every war crime in the original Mobile Suit Gundam. And like, and so that's a thing, right? It's like, so how could you possibly explain that in a 12-episode show, which then loops back to the maybe you shouldn't have made this kind of show if you only had 12 episodes. But I digress. We've done this a million times.
I think what they're going for is like, well, these guys are obviously Nazis, and you know what Nazis are like. They're always trying to stab each other in the back to see who can be the next big Nazi, right?
And like, I think that does still probably read clear. It's just like, probably the particulars of like why should I care about these Nazis backstabbing each other maybe gets lost without the context. I think for my part, I think these two episodes in many ways, for better or worse, like kind of take the mask off and make it very clear, not necessarily what kind of show this is, but like in some ways who it is for. Because I think we've talked up to this point, right? Like, oh, is this for the old school fans? Is this for a new generation? We've kind of talked back and forth about the balance between the 1 Year War, the old school nostalgia, and, the dynamic between our trio. And I think for better or worse, episodes 7 and 8, it really rips the mask off and is like, this is who this Gundam is for, right? Because episode 7 is kind of the big inflection point we talked about. The Titans, or who would have been the Titans in the original timeline, smuggle the Psycho Gundam onto Side 6 with the intent of murdering Kycilia. We find out that Kycilia, and I guess it's like, and that's the problem, right? I guess you're probably meant to like know she's not a good person because she's there to talk about a laser, giant laser with the
Emperor's energy program,
with a Lovecraftian god's name attached to the project. And so you're probably like supposed to infer that's probably a bad thing.
I'm so happy that the state is willing to fund the development of the Torment Nexus.
Look, building orbital death weapons is fine, as we'll learn in our next show. Okay, so how much?
Yes. I do like aspects of episode 7 that kind of lean very hard into this idea that like, on some level, it's all a prison. It's all a fenced area within a fenced area within a fenced area, right? Like,
Michel Foucault, what are you doing here?
Right? Like Machu finds teenage liberation, freedom in piloting the Gundam and participating in clan battle. We find out that clan battle has always been like on the sly tolerated because it's a good source of revenue.
I mean, this is the least predictable. Like, this was the most predictable twist ever. Like,
it's. But the point I'm getting at, right, is that you can try to escape from one boundary only to find that you're still stuck in an even larger one, right? Like, that is sort of the doomed tragedy of Machu's like.
Even though the show is called Prison Break, it continues after they break out of prison because after a while you realize that society
is a prison. Yes. Look, I'm not saying that what GQuuuuuX is doing here is like is like revolutionary. I just
I'm not asking that. I think that it does a relatively good job at that stuff, right?
And I think that's why I quit. We talk about why we wish the show was almost split into its two thematic halves, right? Because I think there is real meat there, like this episode is all about the dissolution Shuji, Nyan, and Machu's relationship, right? Like the unaddressed tension of Nyan and Machu both piloting the Gundam GQuuuuuX, right? Their attempt to flee the colony together, and the myriad ways in which that goes super wrong, ranging from Shuji returning to his home planet to Do Murasame going sicko mode on side 6 with the Psycho Gundam.
Yeah, it turns out we were not fated ones after all. We were just really horny for the Kira Kira.
Yes, and there are things I do like on paper about this episode, right? The ways in which it echoes that, like, in many ways, right, these cycles of violence cannot be like they cannot be papered over, that like these tensions like can never truly disappear until the root causes of these conflicts are addressed, which they are not. Like, you know, I think the Psycho Gundams, like, it's very not Gundam, but its display of power feels appropriately otherworldly compared to what we have seen up till now. The way it
and then it immediately eats shit.
I think that's really funny.
And I think that's like what is like so low key frustrating to me as a Gundam fan. And this is not just from the like, I don't like to see my toys get broken. It's more, the reason I like these toys is because of what they represented in their respective plot lines. Like, and I think I sometimes take umbrage with the ways in which it feels to me that Tsurumaki is like putting the toy in front of me and he's like, hey, here, remember this toy? And I go, yes, I do. And there it goes, tosses it out the window, like it will never appear again.
Yeah, what was even the point of having the Psycho Gundam and this character in this show if you're just gonna have them to like introduce the next big threat, like the next episode?
Because I don't want to go full like UC Tomino Patriot here, but like for Murasame, the cyber new type from Mobile Suit Gundam Zeta, the namesake that Doom Murasame is clearly based on, is like one of the most important characters in Zeta Gundam. Like, she is like the linchpin to which the entire like personal drama of the protagonist is like hinged upon, and she has like dozens of episodes of appearances to like establish that. And so you're gonna be like, but see, this character's kind of like that one.
Yeah, I mean, are they counting on you just knowing that character so they don't have to do the work? And that's the point. Right?
And that annoys me. Like, I know, it's only 12 episodes. Everybody's like, GQuuuuuuX is only 12 episodes. That's as many episodes as 4 had of screen time in Zeta. They couldn't do that. And I know that. It's just, then why?
I thought you were going to say that's as many episodes as 4 times 3.
It is.
It is.
But, 6 times 2. You know,
But it's... And so I know all these things rationally, yes. I think it's just that where I push back against some of it is, to what end then, right? Why the Psycho Gundam? Why invoke the Murasame name? Why include the Titans in this plot? Like, why show my boy the best child-killing machine ever manufactured, the Ham Rambi, and have it eat shit without doing a single thing of note? That thing killed so many kids in Mobile Suit Gundam Zeta. Like, I can't even emphasize how many children the blue Stingray robot that appeared in that episode kills in the original Zeta. It is a child-killing machine. Like, that, like, it is a machine that it is just, are you under the age of 18? If you're within 10 kilometers of this thing, you've signed your death warrant. This thing's a heat-seeking rocket for children.
Oh, God.
And it doesn't kill a single child in GQuuuuuuX.
Yeah.
Did it have to?
I would have liked it.
The point is, it didn't do anything at all, right? Like,
so that's the point. So yes. Why is it even in the show then?
Other than to say, hey, we brought back your favorite robot, right?
And they did, and I got excited until it died immediately.
I mean, they're even bringing back my favorite robots from shows that are not Gundam.
Iro, how did you feel? How did you feel about this episode as someone? Because I feel like you have been the most positive about this show.
Yeah, I'm the sole dissenter that you let on as a. as an obligation.
I don't know. I don't know if it's like I wouldn't say
kidding.
dissenter, but I feel like you have been more positive on it than anybody else.
I am not as nearly as bothered by the inclusion of UC elements. Let's say, like obviously it makes it less accessible to new watchers, but I think it doesn't necessarily have to be accessible to new watchers either, right?
Right.
And to get it right, like I completely accept that. My problem is mostly, then why did you try to bring in new viewers by marketing this as... Well, they marketed this as a new Gundam show.
I mean, Tsurumaki
Yeah,
did say in that
right.
interview he hoped that like this would get a new generation interested in the UC. So
Because you want to know what's going on, so you go watch the original Gundam. Like,
all of the I'm assuming no money goes in Tsurumaki's pockets if I go and watch the old Gundam, but like all the the key art and stuff coming out in the beginning was all it looked very much like a brand new Tsurumaki production, whatever. And there was some stuff in the description hinting at old old UC Gundam, but like it looked like, oh, we're gonna get a new thing. And
I'm not even
kind of not. I mean, it is not like it's not like this is a sequel to Zeta Gundam, right? It's still an AU, right? But I don't know. Yeah,
but I'm not trying to like blame them or saying like, oh, I've been fooled, I've been being bamboozled. No, it's more like I wish I could say this is simply not for me. This show requires an understanding of the UC. And I cannot criticize let's say, the Fast and the Furious 7 for being inaccessible to people who have not seen Fast and Furious 1 through 6.
Correct.
What frustrates me, it's about family, I know that. What does frustrate me is that there is stuff in this show that I can enjoy, and then other stuff that I cannot really enjoy. And it's not really the fault of the people making that show that dichotomy is there, but it does frustrate me to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Were you gonna respond, Iro, or
no? I mean that's completely fair.
I think Arrow's okay is a dismissive. I don't care about your
I can
argument.
go. Like,
did you try to start a war here?
I don't know. Like,
to be clear, right? I guess I
trying to start a war, like in Gundam.
Yes,
like I did like this episode, right? Like this is the weird. Like again, I know everybody's like, so do you like Gundam GQuuuuuX? And I have to like grit my teeth into powder and like squeak out a yes, because like I do like things it's doing. I like that this is a show that finally recognizes that piloting the Gundam is like a dangerous and political act, right? Like I like that we're setting up that Machu is going to have to come to terms with like that piloting the Gundam is not just like woohoo, hang out with my weird artsy friends, but like to pilot the Gundam is to fight for a political ideology, right? I do like that they're setting these things up, right? I probably will not be able to breathe easy until the last episode of this show has aired.
Yeah, and I appreciated the I guess almost the spectacle of episode 7, right? Like it feels like the stakes have been raised, right? The tension has been ratcheted up
Totally.
And you could regardless of if I don't understand the details, I could feel that. And there was also some cool robot stuff happening.
Yeah, shout out to the Kikaroga's stick bug transformation. One of the dumbest things I've ever seen.
Did I see some non-CG robots?
There's a couple, yeah. They did a little bit. They have been using traditional hand animation for like specific cuts or like. It's a little bit similar to like what Witch from Mercury did, and I think this is probably what most modern Gundams are going to do going forward. Is like a mix of CG and hand drawn.
Right. Yeah. I just for some reason it stood out to me in this one. I was like, oh hey. Hand-drawn robots. Wow, in 2025.
Shout outs to the Gyan, who I have always called a fraudulent bum of a mobile suit. I don't know why the Gyan has fans. I don't think it has a single on-screen kill in the history of the franchise. People just like it because
what do you mean? It destroyed the Wing Gundam in that episode of Gundam Build Fighters.
You are correct. Its first on-screen kill was, in fact, in Gundam Build Fighters.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I guess, to move into episode 8, we don't need to talk about the flashback parts, right? But I do think, I think there are interesting things about the Nyan perspective we are getting.
Okay. Go ahead, G. You can finish that thought first.
Sure. I don't think it's quite as full-throated as I would like, but I did appreciate that, like, at least the show is making some attempt in its limited screen time to, like, square with the reality of what a Zeon-ruled UC looks like. Like, that it is this, like, it may not be a hot war, but it is this oppressive Cold War sort of, like, interim peacetime filled with intrigue and backstabbing, right? Like, it feels oppressive and restrictive that, like, in many ways, like, like Caecilia serving Nyan this, homemade cake, and it's meant to be this all like you're one of mine now. Like, welcome to the team. And I think you could obviously tell Nyan doesn't really have a say in this, right? Like, she is kind, in the same way that we were talking about Machu trying to escape a prison in the previous episode, and in many ways Nyan has simply escaped to a different prison of sorts, right?
And also the very like Stasi/Hitler Jugend coded guys.
They put her in
all of these like these guys who are recruits at the academy who are basically being incentivized to rat each other out.
They put her in that Nazi uniform real fast, right?
Yes, yeah. And yeah, I think it's interesting because, like, in a lot of ways, it's like, I actually, like, here's the thing. Like, this sequence with Nyan is, like, probably, like, in the world where, like, GQuuuuuX is 24 episodes, this is probably one of my favorite sequences in the entire show. Like, because, like, this is kind of giving me a lot of, like, what I wanted from Nyan as a character. Like, this insight into her perspective, like, the way she carries herself. Like, we know that she has been a consummate survivor since the beginning of this show, right? Like, she will do anything and everything to, like, find comfort and security. And, we know this of her, right? In what little we see of her. And I see that reflected in, like, some really, like, good, tragic ways, right? I think back to, like, the little montage where she has her little cork board with her, like, reminder to sign up for university classes and how to apply for, like, citizenship status, and, like, it's all gone, right? Like, it's that dream is dead. And so she just kind of has to, I think, like a lot of refugees, like a lot of, like, people who have survived really, like, harsh shit, she just reconfigures herself into the next shape she's expected to take to survive her new status quo, right? And that means piloting the Ava Unit 1.
Yes, they bring her in as the third child, right?
God, to pilot she's literally the third pilot.
To pilot the Evangelion Unit 1. There's no way that's not intentional, right?
The G Fred.
Ava's weird cousin, Fred.
Fred.
Yeah, like, considering the people working on this too, like, there's no way that's coincidence.
I mean,
right?
they do the hanger shot. They do the, like, the front on hanger shot, with them standing in front of its head. It's a little on the nose there, but I think I do like that sequence, right? Like, it's quiet. It's not, like, in your face about it, like, about the state of Zeon, about the state of Nyan. There's that great conversation that, again, like, I think only hits if you know what's going on there, right? Where Xavier asks Nyan, like, hey, how'd you learn how to pilot a mobile suit? And she says that she had to learn how to pilot one to escape Side 2. And Side 2 is the colony that Zeon dropped on Earth. It's the colony they gassed and then used as a projectile against the planet Earth that killed, like, billions of people. Like, and it's good in that awkward sense because like and this is the world in which Zeon won, right? This would be like the equivalent of saying like, how'd you learn how to swim? Oh well, I was at Hiroshima in 1945, right? There's
Wolverine?
Jesus. But like there's that awkward acknowledgement from both parties that nothing more needs to be said here, right? Just like, oh, that's awkward.
Yeah.
Let's move on from that, right? And I do like that there are conversations like that in GQuuuuuX.
Yeah.
But like, would you even know if I didn't explain all this? That's
yeah, like I know about the colony drop from just cultural osmosis, but like what side, that it was side 2 or whatever, I don't know that until you just told me. So like, these are things that I don't have context for, right? But yeah, and so I mean that is for episode 8. I mean, half of it is the rest of the flashback, which, like you said, we don't really need to get into. So really, the other half, the second half with the bits with Yan and where she's at in that in her, I guess we can call it captivity in Zeon.
It basically is.
Yeah, that's kind of the meat of that episode. But I don't know. Are they going to set it up where not Yan and Machi are going to have to fight each other probably in some capacity?
Absolutely.
Yes, I mean, everybody's already made the jokes that the last episode will start with a title card that says 20 years later, and either Machi or Nyan will be shouting about how Shuji could have been a father to them.
Yeah. So where we go from here will be interesting. I
know for sure that like the next episode is going to start with Kaisilia being like, Nyan being like, oh no, I vaporized your dude, and Kaisilia is going to be like, no, good, you were strong and he was weak or some shit like that.
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
he did sure vaporize that dude. That was pretty wild.
Yeah,
that dude got vaporized. Yep. But. Yeah, I think we'll see. So, like, as much as I kind of vented on my feelings about these 2 episodes, I'm not like totally writing off. I'm going to still keep watching the show. I'm not totally writing things off. I think there's still room for me to, as an or people who haven't watched Gundam to enjoy it, especially since I'm in so deep. Maybe if I was kind of hitting this wall earlier in the show, but we are 8 episodes in, right? So there's not really that much left. So, and I do kind of want to see what happens. And I'm wondering how much more are they can they even kind of dig into the connection to the past at this point, right? Like I feel like that's kind of been used already to set up where we're currently at, and I could see them moving more into like kind of fresher territory now. But I don't know. Nobody knows. We'll have to see. So
I'm just looking forward to seeing my girl Machu escape prison and get her revenge on that filthy snitch Haro.
So yeah. So
yeah.
Is it so? Next, we're rapidly reaching the end here. Next, next podcast episode, I think we have to do our season preview, so we might not get to talk.
Oh yeah, by the time we reconvene, it might be over.
It'll either be over or close to over next time we get to talk about this. So, you guys got any like final crazy predictions you want to get in? Is Amuro going to show up? Well, I'm still holding out for Hip Hop Amuro, but what do you guys think?
Yes. Iro, do you want to go first?
No.
you have no predictions at this point.
What the fuck you want me to say at this point? Like, we'll see. If they're gonna get into what Char is there, like he shows up at the end of episode 8. Yes. Like, I don't know. I think we'll just.
Who was that? Char?
Yeah.
What this blonde guy, this mysterious blonde guy at the end
this blonde guy with the word for 4 in his name. How weird.
I didn't know, guys. He was not wearing the distinctive mask.
Oh, you're right. Forgive me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I wish I could like make predictions, but I feel like I just want to like feel good about this show. in the end. Like, I want it to be good. I want it to, I'll say this. I hope it makes good on a satisfying conclusion to at least one of the halves that this show has been dual wielding up till now, whether that is the Machu Nyan Shuji stuff or the UC fanfic stuff. Like, I hope there's a I hope this show prioritizes one over the other. Right? I hope it does not try to square the difference between the two all the way to the very end. But with the latest episode hinting at Char and Lala Sune, I have a feeling this show will keep trying to maintain the balance between those two all the way to the end. So,
yeah.
All right. Yeah, we will see.
We'll see. Okay, let's move on and talk about Apocalypse Hotel. I didn't know if they were gonna be able to follow up on episode 6 that was really good.
Yes,
and they sure did.
Was the one with Armageddon.
Yes, they sure did. We got is this also like the first like 2 episode kind of mini arc? Like these 2 episodes actually go together directly.
I mean, it's an arc in that the end of 7 sort of changes the status or facilitates a change in the status quo, and then 8 departs from that. But so, they don't really tell one story.
I do feel like a lot of 7 was setting up thematically.
I think they are connected thematically because like you kind of look at the conversations that they have in 7, and they are kind of mirrored in 8. Right?
So in episode 7, Ponko really wants to build an orbital death weapon.
Apocalypse Hotel gets political.
Ponko is in favor.
Ponko is in favor of rearmament.
Yeah, and
get Tomino on the phone.
They of course reveal that she is actually a literal rocket scientist.
Yes, it's a good bit.
Which is a pretty good bit, but
every time they do, they like, oh right, these Tanuki are like hundreds of years old or some shit.
Right, and I'm always a sucker for shows like this that don't care about time and just like hundreds of years pass like nothing. But yeah, they want to put up a satellite to advertise the hotel in space, and Ponko insists that they include what is it actually called?
Rod from
God.
Rod from God, which would just as again an orbital death weapon.
Yes.
And she gets into a bit of a disagreement with Yachio on this until she finally convinces her to do it. But
it's a scathing indictment of how the fear of outsiders can foster radicalization.
Indeed, yes.
War rhetoric.
I was almost a little disappointed that like they were setting up a political race arc, which I always love in any piece of fiction when a character has to run for office. Right, they start putting up like the political posters, and like Ponko starts soapboxing, and I was like, oh man, are we gonna have some like Ponko and Yachio have to run for who gets elected as the next acting manager of the hotel or something?
Yeah,
acting manager.
Right. Yes, acting manager.
Yeah. Shout out to this is going to sound random, but just trust me. Shout out to the Last Period anime for having the most political anime episode about the rearmament of Japan ever. There were no punches pulled on that one, and it was the beach episode of all things.
Yeah.
But
was that before or after the crossover episode with Higurashi?
I think it was before.
Okay,
but yes, go check that out. But anyway, yeah, this episode was fine, but it did feel like in retrospect it was more setting up.
Clearly setting up, yeah.
The episode 8, right? There were a lot of, I think a big part of this is showing Ponko and Yachio's relationship, right? And like how there was a really good moment in episode 7 that I think set up that kind of made episode hit harder for me, where as Ponko is trying to state her case to why she wants the orbital death weapon, there's a moment in the conversation where you can tell she realizes that her like only friend and mentor on this universe is a robot. It does not like understand her feelings, right? And they kind of bring that full circle throughout this episode, and then we see what happens in episode 8, right? So at the end of episode 7, they launch their satellite, and through an incident, Yachio gets stuck in space, right?
The good old horribly mistimed solar flare plotline.
Yes, of course.
I hate it when that happens.
And it sets up another time skip, which is not new for this show, but for some reason, but this one is actually a big.
This is a real one. Yeah,
a real one. Although I think it's not even the longest one we've had, right? I think it's only like 70 years or something like that.
Right, because Ponko writes in her log that it's like 2,400 something.
Right, it's like, or maybe it's only like 20 years or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and it was already the future when the humans like disappeared, so it can't have been that long.
I mean, up to episode 7. I mean, up to episode 7, there's already been like 400 or 500 years or something that's passed.
Right.
So,
I think the more comical thing, right, is that this is the time skip that triggers Ponko's physical growth.
Yes. So even just they decide, okay, well, now's the time that Ponko is going to grow up, and so she is now, or at least she appears to be an adult. And
I guess they can't transform, right? So we can't even tell. Like,
yeah, right. Who knows? But
that's actually a good point.
That's a good point, because she might just be like, because she's basically taken over Yachio's job, right?
Yeah. So maybe she just chose to look like an adult now because she has more responsibilities.
Yeah. So it feels like a new status quo change, even though she's. Well, it is interesting because she is upholding all the normal hotel rules with some slight twists.
Well, I think that's actually the sort of interesting conflict, quote unquote, of this episode.
A lot more weapons now.
Yeah, right. Like obviously, we cut to like the roof of the hotel is just decked out like an anti-air battery, like
launch an ICBM from the hotel.
We see that like the hotel is successful, right? Like they talk about having a dozen guests currently staying at the hotel, right? Like,
yes.
Is this like when you're playing Civilization and you're going all in on like culture and science, and you're headed to a victory, but there's still like 50 turns to go, so you just start spending all of your money and building all the weapons because that's the only thing you can still build that you haven't built yet.
Yeah, right.
I don't quite at that level yet, but
Iro, you're going to say something?
No.
Sure?
I was just agreed. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, so yeah, it's it's a little bit of a status quo change, and then it's very hilarious when they're like detect something, whatever, they don't even know what it is coming into the atmosphere. She just immediately launches a missile at it. But of course, it turns out to be Yachio, and
finally re-entered Earth's orbit after.
And what I loved about this with this episode is this entire time for the past 7 episodes, Yachio. We feel like if Yachio were a human, she would have snapped by now, right? And there's always moments where she gets very close to it, or maybe even she does a little bit and blows off some steam or whatever. It gets frustrated, but as she comes back to Earth and her body is damaged and they don't have the replacement parts to fix her, and she has some very comical
leading to one of the funniest reveals I think in this entire show. Like I guess when and here's the thing, we're like skipping over a lot because there's a lot of really good stuff in this, right?
Yeah, we can't get into like every little joke because there's so many, right? But yeah,
no, not just the jokes, but even like the meaty stuff, right? Like we get the flashback, right? It's the classic like Yachio is reliving her memories as she's being rebooted, and we kind of see that like I do think it's an important conversation here, right? Where like the hotel owner explains like, an algorithm can't provide the best possible service, because to provide service is to be like adaptable. It is to be flexible and attentive to the needs of your guests, right? And I think this sets up a really good like thing here, right? About like Yachio talks a big game about like how I'm doing this for the to provide the best possible services to our guests, right? But when she sees how much Ponko has changed the hotel in her absence, she does feel genuinely uncomfortable with it, right? Mm-hmm. Like, she is like taken aback by it. She, in fact, does not like some of the choices that Ponko has made. She got rid of the shower hats, You know, like,
how dare she?
and
Unconscionable.
and it's played as a joke, but it kind of gets at to this like this more like very real sense of like Yachio's entire self-worth has been placed in being the acting manager of the Gingaro Hotel for like hundreds of years. And like it gets at this very real, very human feeling of like, obviously you want to see a thing succeed, but is there a worse feeling in the human soul than seeing something you worked on succeed without you?
As soon as you're gone.
Yeah. Like it's, especially if you tied a lot of your sense of worth to that endeavor. Like,
I mean, it's a combination of like that, which is the big part of it, right? And then through the changes to her body, she can't even perform her old job anymore, right?
Yeah, totally.
And if a robot can't do their job, what is their point of existence, right? And
damn, Yoko Taro on the phone.
Yep. Call
this episode is actually a scathing indictment of how society treats people with disabilities.
Right, yeah. But all of this finally gets Yachio to snap. And,
yes, in the probably the goofiest way possible.
It's very, very good for, the kind of, I guess the majority of episode 8, right, is Yachio's rebellion here, and they turn.
She drew the line at being turned into a gun tank.
I mean, in all seriousness, right? I mean, I think it is like it is a combination of the like unfamiliarity with the new form of the hotel combined with she can't even do like the things she because she has the claw hands, she can't write anymore because of the tank treads. She can't she can't like
do the front of house anymore.
She can't do front of house, right? And it's like, again, I don't know how serious this show is about it, or like if there was ever the intended thematic read, but there is a little bit of that resentment of the like, it gets a little bit at that feeling of like I think probably many like physically disabled people have of like this world is no longer like this world is not built for me, right? This world,
or even like aging people who do things the old ways and are replaced by robots and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, exactly. But. Well, all right. Let's just get to it, right? This all culminates in Yachio turning into a girl gang biker delinquent, firing rockets off in every direction.
I think her hair was my favorite part.
Yeah,
like the frizzy curly hair, perm.
Yeah, it's very
good. And like some really bad makeup.
Shout outs to all the little robots holding their signs like "No war." It's like I have expected one of those. I have expected to see Flightcatcher robot with a sign about Gundam took my child or something.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to remember
my child.
I'm trying to remember the signs from Witch from Mercury when they had in the beginning. There were some funny ones about. Wasn't there like some capitalism signs or something? I don't remember.
I think so. I mean, everybody just remembers Gundam took my child, but
that's the good one. But
very, very good bit.
And we get, Ponko's only response to this is, of course, to take out her giant robot and fight her.
Hell yes. Who would have guessed that Apocalypse Hotel would have the actual best mecha fight of this we had
2 episodes of Gundam. We have 2 episodes of Gundam, and yet Apocalypse Hotel had the best robot fight.
I love it. It's like the moment I saw the hanger with the cloth, I was like, oh, I know what they're doing. Ponko built a robot in the interim years.
Of course she did. With
good.
All the other weapons, and sometimes the only way to communicate is through your fists.
Exactly. Yes.
And they resolve their differences so that Yachio can be restored to be the acting manager, and Ponko can be the acting manager.
Right.
It's all very good.
It reminds me a lot. Again, this episode has a lot of the same energy of what we loved so much about the Harmageddon episode.
Yes.
Of like blessed be a comedy anime that knows that like because it doesn't have the expectation of being like a high octane or well animated action show, can just occasionally dip into that well as a treat.
Yeah. I mean, this is twice they've done it now, right? But
yes,
yeah,
so
if you only got to do it a couple times throughout the show, you can really go all out, right?
right.
And,
Shout outs to them having their like duel as they are like skating up a skyscraper or something.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I mean, when you go hard, right?
Yeah.
I do wonder if there, because this show has been like, because there's like, I mean, there's two ways to go about this, right? On one hand, the show has been surprisingly heavy on continuity for a comedy show. But on the other hand, it is big comedy tradition to just hit the reset button after every episode. So I'm like, what is the over-under on Yachio still being a tank by the next episode?
I'm really curious. I think we've talked about this with Apocalypse Hotel specifically, right? Like, because there's been a number of episodes we've went, are they going to even acknowledge this next week, or are we just going to like roll into like the next thing? And
like how the Tanuki technically don't live at the hotel anymore, but still live there.
Yeah, like I think in some ways, Apocalypse Hotel has shown, at least to me, I think that like, here's the thing, Yachio, like I'm willing to eat crow. Like they might just cut to like 50 years later and like, wow, Yachio, it's amazing. We found a spare pair of legs and arms. For you.
Absolutely, yeah. They could do that.
Pick one from the robot graveyard.
Well, I mean, yes. So I think Eero and I were joking that, like, if we want to continue the theme of like Apocalypse Hotel effortlessly dual wielding pathos and comedy, do we do the episode where it's like, oh, well, actually, Yachio, there is a fresh supply of limbs that are compatible with you. You just have to be willing to cannibalize your former
from all your colleagues.
And then when you add the part from the other robot, you start to take on their personality.
Yes. I mean, do we go full Metal Gear Solid 2? This arm.
Yeah, or they could just like she's back to normal next week and they never address it, and it would not surprise me.
I'm curious what they'll do. Yeah, for sure. But,
but yeah,
it's unexpectable, quietly.
It's been quite a run of episodes, the past 3 of them now at this point.
Yes.
I still have. I think my heart is still with the Harmageddon episode a bit, because I don't know, something about that very specific type of like I don't know, a combination of like the black humor and the sort of heartfelt
yes.
more heartfelt aspects of it. I'm a big sucker for, and there's some of that in this too. But yeah, really good run of episodes, for sure.
Will is because this is another one where it will be over by the time next time we talk about it.
Oh, true. Yeah,
make your call. You don't have to make any calls about the plot. I'm saying make your call. Is how far does the Apocalypse Hotel run make it at end of year?
Top 3.
What was that, Iro?
Top 3.
Damn. All right.
Oh,
all right.
For our top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see that.
I'm gonna say top 5, perhaps.
Yeah.
That's usually where comedies end up.
Yes, that's what I was.
We still have.
Out.
I mean, Girls Band Cry was number 2 last year.
I guess, yeah.
We still have half a year left.
Sure,
but I could see it. I could see being top 5, maybe even top 3. Yeah, I could see that happening.
I will just point out, I was trying to look back. I was like, what is the highest a comedy has ever like made it up our rankings? And I think the closest is probably Space Dandy at number 2. I think
it's never really number. We've had him at number 2. We've never had him.
Yeah, Dungeon Meshi.
Oh, well, I guess never mind. I guess a comedy did win last year.
And we've had Kirobako on number 1 as well. That's kind of a comedy.
I think that's more of a workplace drama, but
if Girls Band Cry is a comedy, then Shirobako is also a comedy.
All right, well, Birdie Wing was number 2, so I guess, well, no, what am I saying? Birdie Wing wasn't a comedy, it was drama. I was just curious.
It was a documentary.
Yes, I was just curious because, like, for example, a show that I feel like has a lot of DNA with Apocalypse Hotel was Akiba Maid War, and so I was curious how far that made it up, and that was number 4. I think
Akiba Maid War would have been higher if more people watched it.
Probably, yeah.
Because I think only me, you, and Ira watched it, right? G.
Is that it?
I think so. And the fact that the 3 of us were the only ones that watched it still made it to number 4 probably tells you something.
Aqua, you didn't watch Akiba Maid War? Damn.
No.
Yeah.
You didn't. Wait, your heart did not yearn for Ringo. God, what's her full name again?
Ranko Manin.
Yes.
Yes.
Ranko Manin, age 38 or 39 or whatever.
Yeah. And I think more people would have liked it too if they watched it. But anyway, we can't relitigate that.
No,
I agree. There's a similar kind of DNA to this. Obviously, Apocalypse Hotel does not go quite as far in terms of
not yet
graphic murder.
I can't believe Yachio gets stabbed in the street in episode 10 and left to bleed out.
Dies an ignominious death in the back alley somewhere, and the only photo they have of her is her from the baseball game they played a week ago.
No, in
God,
Apocalypse Hotel,
so good.
No, in Apocalypse Hotel, it would be the photo of biker Yachio. Like somehow, this is the only photo we had of her.
Hear me out. What if they're playing a high-stakes golf game and it is revealed that Yachio has a robot arm?
Wow, crazy.
All right. Well, we can't just keep name dropping other shows. I think we can move on.
I mean, I almost kind of hope they keep Yachio in this robot form a little bit longer, because I feel like there's a lot of potential to the whole like comical prop sticks out of her arm thing, like they did that a lot in Nichijou, right?
Yeah, the Nichijou joke.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Nichijou joke of the hand pops open and it's like a fan or a golf club or whatever.
A roll cake.
Yes.
I mean, they kind of already do that with her constantly, like producing
her power ups that she gets at the end of every episode.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the one. That was one of the moments I was like, yes, this is the type of humor I like, where at the end of episode 7, when she's stuck in space and the achievement unlocks, and it's like, you've been stuck in space, you've unlocked self-destruct mode, we recommend that you use it. Like, damn, that is dark.
No, that was very good.
It's very good. But yeah, that show's pretty great. All right, let's move on to talk about Rock as a Lady's Modesty. Aqua, have you keeping up with this at all? Or
no. I kind of bailed after last time. I made my criticism. It's clear.
It's pretty good. It's got pretty good.
That's nice to hear. That's good.
Like, I feel like it's gotten better.
My thing was like, I didn't actively hate it. It was just like more like, I don't think I'm gonna get any more out of this. Like, it seems to have its thing and then seems to run entirely on the contrast between, they're rich ladies, but they like swearing and playing hard rock music.
Oh yeah, they've moved on from that.
Yeah. Okay, that's very good to hear. That's nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's still there in like the background, but like I already talked about last time, there was a whole mini arc where they went and subbed in for like this like
for the big band,
group of middle-aged
I still read that part in right. Because I did read some of the manga, so I did get that
and that was pretty fun. Yes. And it's taken us it took all the way up to like episode 6 to start bringing in the other 2 band members. Mm-hmm. So like it took like half the show, but they finally brought them in, and it is like somewhat conventional band drama, but I like the spin they've put on it. There's kind of individual spins they put onto it. So leading up to these 2 recent episodes, I mentioned last time, we've got the 2 band members that they bring in. One is the keyboard player, who's like a total beginner, but
right. Because anime girl bands always need a keyboard player.
Yes, and if they're purely an instrumental band, then having
that makes sense.
Probably makes a little more sense. And the main girl, who I keep just calling her Mary in my head because she's literally Mary from Kakegurui, but Lilia or something, Lilia or something. A lot of L's in there, but she sees her passion to be in the band, because she's like all of these girls are like trapped in their whatever circumstances that ultimately lead to them, or ultimately caused by them being rich young ladies, right? And this is their form of self-expression, to be themselves and everything, right? So she sees the passion that this girl has, and even though she's a beginner, she wants her in the band. And then the other girl actually isn't from their school. I think she might actually even be an adult, which is weird, but she is like the stone cold, I only care about how good you are on a technical level, and she's also like the most amazing guitar player in their local area, right? Way better than not Mary, like, who's normally also the guitar player. And she's only interested in them because the drummer girl is also like the best drummer in the area, and she wants to be in a band with her. So she's like, it all comes down to a battle of the bands, right? Always does. Where if they win this battle of the bands, actually, I should start with, if they lose, the new guitar girl, who only cares about technical ability and winning, basically, is like being recruited by this like up and coming like sellout band that just makes music that they think will be popular and doesn't really care what they're doing.
It's the freaking reverse Diamond Dust.
Yeah, and so if they, so they're like it. So she's like, if I can beat you in this new band with the drummer girl I want, then you have to leave me alone forever. And if I lose, I will join your band begrudgingly.
Right.
And that that sets up the drama for these 2 episodes where they're preparing for the battle of the bands. But the main girl's insisting that the keyboard player girl stick around even though she's a beginner, and the kind of stone cold badass girl that is a total asshole to everybody is like, no, she's a beginner. We have to win this battle of the bands, which she's kind of right, but she's also just being an asshole about it. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of the sorts of the drama and the tension and everything. And the other on the other half of it, so I mentioned last time that this girl, even though she's the best guitar player, she chooses to play bass in this so that she can see what the other girl's made out of as a guitar player.
Well, yes, also because they already have a guitar player and you probably need a bassist in a band.
Right, but it's almost like it's almost more, well, she almost does it in a condescending way as a
right. So I'll be in the rhythm section and you show off.
This leads up to the battle of the bands, and so the other thing with the main girl is we've seen that she's a very good guitar player, but they keep saying how like she doesn't have any like passion or personality in her playing or whatever. She just is playing the notes, right? And this leads up to the big battle of the bands, and this is going to sound wild, but the best way I can describe this episode is it felt like the band anime equivalent of Anafugo's Last Stand in Granbelm.
Okay.
Where they're clearly outmatched, but man, do they go out with a bang. And even the way
mid-credits X murder.
No, not quite that far, but like the way that they just keep like there's a lot of most of it's internal. There's a lot of yelling and powering up.
I mean, that's the thing, right? This is very hard to depict. Like the same thing with you don't put any of your personality into the music. Right. That is a very hard thing to express through music alone.
It's also hard for me to describe on a podcast because a lot of it is like part of the visual storytelling and how they build the intensity, which is why I'm trying to like give some frame of reference for how I felt watching it. But so they go out and they're like, they basically bomb until like the very end when the main girl gets so pissed off that she just starts going crazy, and between like the 3 people that can actually play instruments, they just all start trying to like one up each other, and like it ends up making this dynamic that actually works, and it feels they did the right amount of like setting it up and building up to it that it feels really good when you finally hit that moment and like, oh yeah, now we're finally got everything coming together. And like I said, you kind of have to watch it to like get the full experience, but I really loved it. And then as I said last time too, like this is all like surprisingly well done from a storytelling point of view, as far as like building the girls' like characterization and stuff like that, and making it all come together. Like the writing is surprisingly good. Is I guess is what I'm trying to say for a show that feels like it's just should be like a wacky, ridiculous comedy or whatever.
Right, because my problem was with this is like this is so steeped in the weird old anime trope of the Ojo-sama school that I'm like, I've seen all of this, you know, I've seen them go, oh, Koki Kenya to each other, like, or Koki Kenya or whatever. It's just, I've got the feeling that the show was not able to escape its very core premise of, you know, we took thing you know from anime and other thing you know from anime and we put them together. So I'm happy to hear that it's sort of trying to evolve beyond that core premise.
I think once you get past episode 3 or 4, I don't even think they've had a scene in school.
All right.
It's all been outside of school. So and again, like that's still there as the backdrop because it's supposed to be like, oh well, this is them escaping that, right? But it hasn't really been a major factor. It's been kind of more of into a real sort of band story. I think it's been pretty good. There's some weird there's some weird stuff like so the keyboardist girl, one of her jokes is you know, she is like a famous model or something, and apparently it is revealed that she binds her chest to be like a thin, slim-looking model for her photo shoots. But of course, it is revealed. It is revealed later that, of course, you know, she's been binding her chest, and to quote the show, she has giant bazongas, and she starts breasting boobily as she performs and has to get to
big
that.
Bouncy boobs.
Yeah, so there's some weird stuff with that, and I think I've mentioned before, I feel like this artist has some kind of sweat fetish. I mean, Aqua, you've probably seen enough of the show to know what I'm talking about with that.
Yeah. I mean, anime will always be anime, right? Even Bocchi the Rock was weird about like Bocchi having weirdly big breasts. It's like, just something there's a part where get out of it.
There's a part where she's like, they go to do their performance, and she's like, she looks down and she can't see the keyboard because
oh my god,
the boobs are so huge. And she's like, oh no, how can I play the keyboard? I can't see. It's so
I mean, that's
stupid.
so dumb that almost loops back. I mean, that's great.
Yeah, it does kind of loop back and be kind of funny at that point. But yeah, they're not. It's like they're very clearly playing it as like a really dumb joke, so it's not that bad, but. Still,
the thing is, like, it's a joke that is funny on its own, but it's just that the well has been so thoroughly poisoned that you can't help but look at it and be like,
you can't help but raise an eyebrow. And, but it's anyway, it's a fun time. And I'm kind of surprised because I was almost ready to sign it off after the first like 2 episodes, and I'm glad I stuck with it. So, all right. Let's talk about Guilty Gear Strive Dual Rulers, which I've been informed is actually over.
Yep.
Now.
Speaking of things that have improved surprisingly.
What's not over is the 3rd season pass, which you can purchase right now, starring character from Guilty Gear Strive Dual Rulers Unica.
Did they intentionally make it only 8 episodes to line up with the release of
I don't think they intentionally shortened the length, but they did very much intentionally time the release of her in the game with the end of the show.
I get the impression that the anime is not going to sell too many more season passes, though. Is that
So here's like why I so desperately need the like fly on the wall like post-mortem on all this, because Guilty Gear Strive Dual Rulers is like one of the greatest failures in marketing I think I've ever seen for a cross-media project. Dual Rulers is like not just a bad anime, it's bad Guilty Gear. Like it has none of the like redeeming aspects of like why Guilty Gear is like such a like beloved institution in fighting games. And it gets even more confusing when you think about like what the ostensible goal of Dual Rulers was. So, if we assume that Dual Rulers is like the point of Dual Rulers was to get people excited for Unica, the new character in season 3 of Guilty Gear Strive's release schedule, being added to the fighting game. This anime is a really bad advertisement for her. Like, it's dreadful. Like, it gives you no reason to be excited for this character. There is no reason why I would be excited to play Yunica in Guilty Gear Strive based purely on how she is sold in the anime. And that's for a lot of reasons, including that the anime sucks. It's badly made. The budget's not existent. The action scenes are PowerPoint presentations. The characters don't even do the things they're known for in the fighting game. Like, they don't do their moves. Like, I said this multiple times, but this is like if you watched a Street Fighter movie and Ryu didn't perform a single, like, Hadouken in the entire movie. Like, it's bizarre. And this all becomes increasingly strange because now Yunica is out in the game. And everybody...
Go ahead. Yep.
And everybody loves her. She's great. She's fantastic. She's, like, actually quite charming, and her kit is really well made and fun. And the FGC has almost universally taken a liking to Yunica. Like, calling her, like, by far and ahead probably one of the most successful DLC characters to come out of Strive, and potentially shaping up to be one of the coolest newcomers to Strive.
And none of that was communicated in the anime. Yeah.
I would have been better off never watching Dual Rulers and just watching the Unica reveal trailer.
And they'd be like, oh, look at this cool new character. Yeah.
Like, all the things she does in the game are not in the anime, to a confusing degree. So Unica's whole deal, right, is time-traveling son of Kai and Dizzy. She has... And so in many ways, she is kind of the inheritor. Like, in many ways, she is the new face of Guilty Gear. She has inherited a little aspect of every major Guilty Gear character. She is a gear, which means she has, like, magical monster powers. She's the daughter of Kai Kisuke, so she has, like, lightning sword powers. She's the granddaughter of Soul Bad Guy, so she fights with a big mechanical mech sword that is both a motorcycle and a laser crossbow and a sword.
See, that sounds like Guilty Gear to me.
She's fun to play. She hits like a fucking train. She's doing like 70-80% of people's health bars in this game. She has a really cool super where her motorcycle gun sword explodes to reveal that she has Kai Kisuke's sword in it that she inherited from her father in the dark future. She's Trunks, down to having a cool jacket.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
And like when she wields her father's sword, she's imbued with a holy light and does this fucking sick ass aerial combo, like with like lightning and her hair like lights up and like it's hella badass.
Future Trunks was my favorite character as a kid. Yeah.
None of this is in the anime.
Is it like, do they just not have that stuff planned before the anime, or do you think they just didn't care enough to?
So, like, there is some.
It's like they only had the design and
like you had the character design and literally nothing else before the anime
like
had to get
baffling collapse in communication.
Yeah,
like the show ends with Sin and Unica doing a like, they're siblings, so it's not quite a love Tenkyoken. It's a familial love Tenkyoken, a platonic familial love Tenkyoken.
We would certainly never have any romantic love between siblings.
No, definitely not. And they do their super attack on the big evil. But the big evil is like, oh, I'm still alive. It's not over yet, Snake. And I go, oh, okay. Like, this is now where, like, Unica will reveal that she has her father's sword and, like, finish this battle in a huge climactic finish that makes you go, wow, that anime was bad, but Unica is cool. I can't wait to buy her DLC in the game Guilty Gear Strive. She doesn't do that. Nope. She shoots him with a gun. not like a cool Guilty Gear gun. Not like a gun that transforms into a yo-yo. like a gun, like a gun ass gun.
The dart gun, right? Like,
yeah, it's a dart gun because it has like a anti bad guy juice syringe.
That sounds so bad.
The show is ass. Like, and it maybe says something that I watched multiple members of the like Strive community, like, you know, like pro players try out Unica, stream them playing Unica, and I think unanimously when chat asked like, "Hey, did you watch the anime?" They all said, "I like watched the first episode. I don't know. I assume Unica does this in the show, right?" It's like,
no, she doesn't.
All of them smarter than me. Every single one of them smarter than me to just pull out immediately and just wait for the character to get released in the game.
Yeah. Well, I do wonder how many people actually watched the anime to completion, right? But
and then went on to like buy like the DLC. like if that was the goal, they failed. Like they resoundingly failed.
Right. Well, I feel like if you were going to buy the DLC, you were going to buy it anyway, but yeah, I don't know.
Right, because it's part of the season pass. But
it's just a weird, like, what was this for then? Why? Why did
I truly
do this?
don't know.
Money laundering.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Well, I guess mercifully it is over now, though, right? So you don't have to keep watching it. That's a positive.
Yeah.
Yep. True.
Well, I guess.
Well, unfortunately, the next show is not over yet.
Speaking of shows that are ass, let's talk about Lazarus. G, we were briefly talking earlier, and you said that this has actually gotten worse somehow.
This show somehow keeps getting worse. Like I think Watanabe might just need to retire. Like this is really rough. The last two episodes, the first of the two is a classic. Oh no, the past of one of the characters is coming back to haunt them. It's Christina, the blonde lady. Turns out that before joining Lazarus, she was a Russian spy.
No.
And
yes, I mean, if you're a blonde lady in an anime, then yes, you were a Russian spy at some point.
And she is being confronted by her
former unit,
member of her unit, her handler, and gasp, they were once lovers.
Oh no.
But Christina faked her death and escaped, and you know, it's on one hand she's mad because you betrayed the nation of Russia, but also you left me behind, you betrayed me, and it sucks.
Yep. It's just not interesting.
I guess. Is there anything?
Oh, and then of course her former lover dies at the end of the episode, saving her.
Yeah.
I just assumed that.
You know, I think this episode technically aired before June, so it wasn't Pride Month yet. So they're like, "All right, we gotta get this lesbian out of the way before Pride Month."
Oh God!
How else is she gonna, hook up with name Axel Lowe?
Axel? Yeah.
Wrong Axel.
Yeah.
Axel.
Yeah. Axel Lowe.
Yeah.
But you see, she's bisexual. That makes it even more progressive.
It's bad. They said it's like this big, like, oh, we gotta, like, because the boss of Lazarus, like, no, you can't do it. Your task force was only put together to find Dr. Skinner, and they're all like, but she's our Nakama, and it's like, we're gonna go on a daring rescue, save her.
Yes, we've spent so much time developing the camaraderie between this cast that
it sucks. There's like a big action sequence where they attack this oil tanker, and I guess it's meant to be like exciting and cool, but it's not.
Is the action still just like way too long and also rotoscoped looking?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll say the episode did have the funny bit where, because this is on some secret oil rig or whatever, they have to chopper in from the nearby village or whatever. And so the hacker girl is back at base doing all the hacking, and there's just like 20 old Russian villagers watching and going, "Wow, whoa, this is crazy." And that's fun. I thought that was
very
fun.
good, yeah, because they're like, "Oh, we have to take over this like remote research station because it's the only place that has like an internet connection nearby." And so, it's very much like boomers being like, "Wow, computers sure have come a long way," you know.
You did what you're trying to do! Hooray! Let's all cheer. We don't know what's going on.
Yes,
let's cheer.
It was a charming little bit. But yeah, it's just like they're really like trying to be like, "Oh man, the pathos of Christina," and it's like you compare that to like, again, I keep making these comparisons, but you know, look, Watanabe invited them. You compare it to like the reveal about like Faye Valentine and like all that shit, and it's like that shit is like so fucking good, and like it hits so good, and you can tell they're trying so hard to basically like do the same thing here, and it just like 100% does not work because they've done nothing to make you actually care about these characters.
Yeah.
How
many episodes are left of this thing?
Presumably 3 or 4, all right?
Yeah,
we watched episode 9.
Oh, it was 9 this week, then yes, so 3, I think.
Right?
Okay. 10, 11,
I think
12?
so.
Yeah. That episode's not much better. In fact, it's probably worse, actually, somehow, because that episode is about with 10 days remaining before people start dying of Hapna. This is when the U.S. government decides, we think Lazarus has gone too far. We need to bring them in for questioning. You know,
with 10 days left.
And it's obviously meant to be like kind of similar to like when Yang Wen Li gets brought in by the FPA in season 2. It's kind of meant to be that like, look at like how even with the world ending, the power structures that be cannot help but like try to oppress and enforce. But like it feels so stupid. Because like, why would you do this? Like, yeah, right. Oh my god! Because like at the very beginning of this episode, this episode opens on a dude in not a trench coat. What is it? It's like one of those like full body raincoats, you know, real tech wear raincoats. Dining at what was it again? What was that steakhouse?
Oh god, I don't remember the name now. But
it's okay, who fucking cares? It's like some iconic steakhouse, right?
Peter Luger Steakhouse in New York. No.
Yes, Arby's. He's eating
Peter Luger.
Outback.
Yes, he's having a steak at Arby's, and he's like, like eating the steak, and it's just a steak, by the way. It is really chaotic. It's a steak. It's a steak with just a steak. That's the only thing on the plate. Like, think about that for a minute.
That is how these stupid high-end ass, self-important steakhouses.
Motherfucker, like a parsley on that thing. Like that's fucking.
Yeah, something green on the plate. Yeah.
Anyways, and then he walks out, and then the music hits. And it's like this lo-fi, kind of haunting lo-fi beat, and it's a locked camera shot, and it's like, and it's using point of view, so that's like it really flattens the perspective of the shot. I forget what that's called because despite being an artist for a living, I'm a fraud. Anyways, the character is like walking towards the camera, right, and with this really flat perspective, and this like haunting lo-fi music starts playing, like, oh, and it's like, oh boy, it's like, okay, character establishing moment, and you're like, okay, what's like, why is this moment so special, right? And it's like he's walking towards the camera, and meanwhile, it's like a fixed shot montage of society collapsing as we approach the deadline towards the end of Hapna killing people, and so you see like, oh, people running away with like bags of what are implied to be like looted food, and there's a mass shooting. There's a mass shooter, and he's like just shooting people in the street because we've all just lost the will to live, man. What's the point, man? We're all gonna fucking die anyway. And he's like and this guy, he's like calmly walking towards the camera, stepping over these bodies while this haunting lo-fi music plays. And I cannot emphasize enough. I've said this before. Nothing's better than a smart show acting stupid. There is nothing worse than a stupid show acting smart.
Yes, absolutely.
This is the worst sequence I think I've ever seen in like, this is not because of like the way it's not necessarily because of on a technical level. or because it's offensive. Like, I don't even care that like there's a mass shooting being portrayed on the streets in New York, and it's like, oh man, the American condition, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I think it's just nothing makes me more mad than watching something in a piece of fiction or media and knowing that the person who made that thinks they cooked.
Right. I get you. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Way smarter than they think that, or a lot less smart than they think they are. Right.
Like, if Watanabe thought this was slick, I have to like rethink my entire evaluation of Shinichiro Watanabe as a director.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't take away credit for the good things that he did in the past.
No,
right?
definitely not. It's
the like you said, is it time to hang it up? I don't know, but yeah, I was just trying to envision that whole thing as you're describing it, G, and just
you should almost just look it up. It's episode 9.
Maybe
it's like the
maybe
first
I should just
2 minutes.
watch that part
like,
and just I.
In fact, I think
I think I can imagine it though of what you're saying.
Like, I bet Adult Swim posts that clip on YouTube soon because they're like, oh, that's the crowning moment of episode 9. And then the rest of the episode is like the government. Like, I think it's like as they get closer to trying to hunt down Skinner, which they're not, by the way, they still have no leads, and yet they're setting it up as like, as we're tightening the loop on Skinner, we need to think about like what we do in the post period, right? Like, who will control the cure to Hapna, and so the U.S. government hires a like extremely Kai Lang coded Chinese assassin to take out Lazarus after they've found Skinner. So that, I guess the implication is so that they can secure the cure to Hapna for the elites and the government, and so that the United States can control it, right? And it's a really lame thing to introduce at the 11th hour. It's like the show is like... Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, that's wild to me. They have made no progress. Like,
zero. They have zero.
Because okay, there's 10 days left. Let's say even now you theoretically found him. How would you then get a cure and distribute it and whatever within the remaining time, right? Like, the whole thing is just stupid. But, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's why they're emphasizing we'll only get it for the elites or whatever. But, and that's such a like, even if that is a statement you're trying to make, that's such a like hacky sort of like, yes, ooh, the government is bad, like,
it is your woke uncle trying to talk to you about how, like, during the COVID pandemic, like, Trump had access to the most cutting edge COVID care available when he caught it the first time. It's your woke uncle being like, really makes you think about America, huh? And it's like, yeah, bro, no, I know it sucks.
Yeah, like, we can it's not that deep. We can figure that one out in like a few seconds, right? Like, it's not, we don't have to think about that too hard.
Yeah, shit sucks. Shit sucks in America. Like, I don't want to say a Japanese person can't tell me shit sucks in America, but there's a little bit of like, yeah, we know.
Typical American arrogance. Shit sucks everywhere,
Thank you, Aqua, for being so brave and having a unique perspective to keep us arrogant Americans in line. You're right. We shouldn't complain about how much it sucks here.
Yeah. Right, but it's not like a real critique or anything because that's just obvious, right? Like, it's like, yeah.
That's the problem, right? Is Watanabe's social critique is like, the sun rises, grass grows, birds fly. It's like, yeah, man, it sucks.
Well,
what are you going to say about it?
That sounds like it continues to be awful. Then,
it does indeed.
But hey, the next time we talk about it, it'll be over.
At least that will be true.
So, because if there's only 3 episodes left, that'll probably be over by the time we get back to it. So,
yeah.
On to other things. All right. Well, let's wrap things up by talking about Kowloon generic romance. another 2 episodes of continuing to unravel the mystery of Kowloon, which I'm starting to feel like they've maybe made things too complicated.
They're going real hard on this Kowloon shit.
Like it's like they peel back one layer, but then there's another layer, and it's like, okay, how many layers do we need on this, folks? Like,
right? What's that mean? Like, how many layers deep are you? 3, maybe 4. And Kowloon is like, you are like a baby. Watch this. It's
so. So we do get, like, in I think this is episode 8 and 9, right? But we get in episode 8. We left off on basically determining that Reiko probably shouldn't leave Kowloon because there's a possibility she'll disappear. But Yao Mei leaves, and she does her own sort of investigative work, where she finds out that everybody just assumes Kowloon was destroyed 3 years ago, right? That's what actually happened, and she confirms this, and is basically makes contact with the new white hair guy with the fangs. I don't remember what his name is.
Yeah.
Who is like Mitsuki's like super hacker friend or whatever, right?
Something like that, yeah.
And he seems to be pulling some of his own strings, as we see in these 2 episodes, because he's like I guess the layers to this. We've got the Mitsuki's dad at the top of the Heavy Numa company, who is apparently built this project to bring his son back or something.
Yeah, his dead son back to life, right? Because we find out that Mitsuki is an adopted son, right?
Right.
And
Mitsuki is trying to use this as some form of revenge.
A form of revenge, yes.
And this new guy with the white hair is, I think, on Mitsuki's side.
Accomplice,
basically.
Seems to be also like trying to figure out it seems like he's kind of taking it more from the academic perspective of trying to figure out the mechanics of the third Kowloon, right?
Yeah, because the other thing I think we're finding is, like, nobody really knows how this thing works, it seems like. So, like,
and I think that's like this is kind of where the show gets interesting, gets in a weird place, actually, because it's like these last 2 episodes spend so much time interrogating the true nature of Kowloon that I feel like a lot of the character stuff kind of takes a back seat here, right?
Yeah, because it almost feels like, from what we were learning, it almost feels like they like AI generated Kowloon City.
Yeah, that's kind of almost the vibe, right?
And it looks like Kowloon, but when you like inspect it closer, everyone has 6 fingers, right? And nobody,
something like that. Yeah,
nobody knows. Nobody like really knows like exactly all the details of how everything's working. They kind of push the button on this thing, and now they're figuring it out.
Right.
But yeah, like, there's a lot of time spent on, like, okay, well, this person can see the city, but this person can't see the city. What's going on there? And and getting into the generics and the copies of people, and
and I mean, there is character stuff here, I guess, to be clear, right? Because we do have, like, obviously there is the part where Reiko and Kudo, they boned, right? They
okay.
hooked up, right?
I was looking up the Wikipedia summary of this, and for some reason this is written so funny.
Yeah.
The next day, Reiko and Kudo wake up after spending the night having sex together.
Yeah, very
which sounds like something written by someone who has never had sex before.
Yeah, that's very good. That's
not that I'm shaming anybody who has not had sex before, but I'm just saying that sentence sounds like somebody
it's written like like a medical document practically.
Yes,
but yeah, so there is stuff there, right? Where that I think was good because it felt wrong, and I think it was supposed to feel wrong. I think so, yeah, because because you kind of have the moment in the subsequent episode, right, where the relationship already feels like it's backsliding again, right? Like Reiko's on cloud 9, she's like ecstatic, but like the next time they hang out, like, Kudo has yet another like Reiko B flashback, and like, yeah, it kind of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, right?
Right. It felt wrong because like Reiko is vulnerable because she was looking for any way to like prove that she exists as her own person, and
right.
Kudo obviously just cannot shake Kujirai B, right? Like Reiko B, and anything at that point, that's the closest he was going to get, and
right. And I think I'm very curious because I think.
Yeah, go
Sorry,
ahead.
you go ahead. Oh, okay. Because I think they're still obviously setting up that these two will end up in a relationship eventually, right? Like, I mean, or at least that's my read on it, right? Is like, well, these two are fated to get together somehow, but like,
right.
It does kind of feel like they almost like the show almost even acknowledges that like they have jumped the gun a little bit early here, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think because if they were to get together, we've established thematically it would have to be him getting together with her as Reiko A and not
as
Reiko
her own
B,
Reiko,
right?
Yes,
as her own Reiko. And honestly, I think that's the path that will happen, but I wouldn't rule anything out. I don't know,
right?
But yeah, so we do get that kind of keeping our sort of emotional heartbeat going through these episodes, but otherwise, it is a lot of sifting through the science fiction aspect of it here, and
right.
how the city operates and everything. And while that is somewhat like academically interesting, maybe not as I don't know, not as emotionally interesting, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's because like I'm caught in this place where like here's the thing, like you guys know me, I love a story about trying to figure out the mechanics of a strange place, right? Like that's an awesome setup, but I think being incorporated into like this show and the way in which like the show started, or like what it like purported itself to be at the beginning, right, is like it doesn't always necessarily make the clash work as well as as I expected.
They could do a better job blending them together.
Also, like one thing I have to point out, like maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's in fact they are two totally separate characters. I thought the implication was that the bowl cut guy, Xiaohei, is that I thought that was supposed to be real world, because isn't that the same name as the sort
girl.
of Lolita fashion character, correct?
Yeah.
And they've been implying this up till now, right? That like they've done a couple of like, okay, Xiaohei is female presenting, but not is implied to be biologically male, right? And so I thought the reveal here was, oh, this Xiaohei is like quote unquote real, like non-Kowloon Xiaohei. But didn't they establish that like if the real one enters the Kowloon, the fake one disappears? But the adult Xiaohei is spying on the child Xiaohei, and
right.
I was like, wait, okay, so are they actually separate characters, or are they implying that Xiaohei is in fact the exception to the rule and can exist concurrently with his Kowloon self?
That kind of points to another problem I kind of have with the lore and world building here is they sure love having exceptions.
Yeah.
So like like why can Yao Mei see the city, but and Gwen see the city, but the pizza delivery guy can't, or most people can't, right? So maybe there's some explanation to that. So I still think, unless they're really trying to throw red herrings, which so far I don't think this show has been big on that, they're still the same person somehow, is my thought.
Right.
But yeah, who knows? Yeah, it feels like, and as far as where we've left off, it feels like they've got a lot of ground to cover if there's only 3 episodes left.
I mean, I feel like, this is a manga, right? So either we're not going to get that definitive of a conclusion, or maybe this thing did well enough that we get the announcement of season 2.
Well, so from what I understand, the manga is ending about the same time as the anime. So,
okay. They did announce that the anime would be ending. The manga would be
Manga.
ending, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
So-
and there has also been an announcement for a live-action movie, so I'm assuming this thing is popular. Like, they're pushing it quite heavily.
Yeah, so maybe there will be a second season or something, who knows? But it does feel like there's a lot. I feel like we've maybe solved 5% of the mystery of the city, and we've got 3 episodes left.
It's strange because what I've seen seems to be like, I've only briefly glanced at the manga, but it seems that they are doing a rather sparse adaptation, like or rather, well, not sparse, but a rather, only the essentials. So I was always under the impression that because of that, and because of the fact that the manga is ending soon, that this was going to be a full adaptation. But they might do a thing where, like, you'll look forward to the conclusion in 3 OVAs that will be released over the course over the next.
Yeah, who knows?
Like, they'll do a Sing Yesterday to Me or something like that.
I mean, that's actually very. I'm glad you pointed that out, Aqua, because I didn't know. I've skimmed a few chapters of the manga, but I never paid that close attention, so I did not know that this anime was considered kind of staying on the main road as far as adaptations go. And I wonder if there are aspects of our feelings about this show that maybe things would have felt more natural if we had more just hanging out moments, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
kind of things that maybe get cut out of the anime for time, right?
We were getting a lot of that in the first half of the first maybe 5 episodes, but then in the last 4 it's been very exposition heavy.
Right.
I mean, and to their credit, there isn't actually a lot of standing around just info dumping. It is the story is being told in the context of the characters moving around and doing things, but Yao Mei going out into Hong Kong and asking around and stuff that it's being presented well enough. I think it's just that it's what's actually happening is maybe a little dry compared to earlier in the first half, the first maybe 5 episodes or so. It was a lot of Reiko and Kudo doing their job, and then occasionally you get these little hints at something going on in the background, right? Which is
a bit of a case of not really being able to reconcile its 2 identities,
right? So like we said, I think it's just maybe they could mix those elements a little better, rather than just kind of dumping a lot of information on us in a couple episodes. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. I am interested to figure out what is the final end game of all this. My one theory I'll put out there is that Miyuki is actually the child in the picture, the dead son, and this will be very much like the real world, where people in power are willing to ruin everything because they're transphobic. But we will see where they go with that. Otherwise, I'm still enjoying it. I think I've cooled off a little bit on my enthusiasm a little bit, but it's still a good show. I think it's solid.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that will do it for this episode then. You can get to our housekeeping. You can check us out at theglorioblog.com. You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts. Oh, I missed Blue Sky. Follow some Blue Sky at Glorio Blog. I've done this so many times. I didn't think I would have this all locked in.
Most important thing.
Yes. Which I finally have our post automatically hooked up to post there, so I don't have to remember. And then you can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean, Stitcher, and of course YouTube, where you can comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, all of those good things. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, and we'll catch you next time.
You can bet on that.